There are many programs out there that will show you the most unaffordable, the ludicrously expensive properties that are for sale on the market. These places draped in chandeliers with, let's face it, daft wine holders and sculptures that you probably don't really need in a house. And then there's me, the wandering turnip, and I will show you the opposite of that. The cheapest houses that are for sale on the market. The houses that don't really justify being called houses. The burnt out shells, the decaying, the ruins. The places that, let's face it, you shouldn't even go inside, let alone consider buying. So on that note, let's go explore the cheapest houses for sale in Leeds. Also, I did a video here recently exploring the death of the high street, looking at all the empty retail in Leeds. Now, recently I've got loads of messages saying you need to come back because all those shops that were boarded up that you showed in your video have been refilled. Now, I'm not sure I believe that, but I'm excited to look round and see if those buildings that were to let, that were vacant, have been repurposed. I hope they have. Well, yeah, we'll look at that as well. Okay, so here we go. This is the first house we are looking at today. As you can see, it's on for £60,000. Now, the photos looked absolutely terrible on the inside, so I was intrigued to get inside and look round. Now, if you like your secluded city living, this house comes absolutely covered in trees. I really feel that no one has lived here for a long, long time, but I actually did quite like the look of all these trees surrounding the house. Then we got inside and immediately presented with the overwhelming smell of damp and mould. Now, it really was one of the worst first impressions I've ever got from stepping inside a house. And look at the ceiling there, totally wrecked. It looks like there's definitely been a leak somewhere above, water pouring through. That ceiling is just coming down everywhere, bits all over the floor. Then looking at the walls, and you can see the source of that bad mouldy smell, and it's the black mould all over the walls. Now, this place does have a cellar as well. Went down to check that out. This was probably one of the best rooms in this house. Not much to see down there though. Then back to the ground floor and into the living room. Now, this was a big room and it actually wasn't in too bad shape. I thought it would be worse in here. There were areas of the room that were really bad, but yeah, not as bad as the other rooms in this place by a long, long way. And this is one of the bits that I'm talking about. The stairway. This was completely trashed, covered in mould. It was absolutely crazy. Now, as you walked up, it just got worse and worse, and it's like the ceiling has completely caved in, fallen through, and is somehow still being held up by something. But yeah, that was pretty terrible. You had one decent sized bedroom up here. Actually, this was probably the best room in the house. The walls felt alright. It looks like someone started this and then given up. And then through to an upstairs kitchen, which, yep, well, this just turns back to being absolutely awful. Look at that black mould. Now, I must have visited hundreds of the cheapest houses that are for sale in the United Kingdom, and this definitely is up there with one of the worst I've ever seen, and definitely up there with one of the worst smelling. All that black mould. This definitely was a unique experience. And look at that. Look at that fungus just growing on the floor. Then we are through to the first bathroom of the house. You can see all that exposed brick there. This place was in a really bad way as well. Now, if there's anyone watching this who is a builder or in the building game, let me know how bad actually is this place. What would you do with it? Would you avoid it? Do you think it's fairly valued at £60,000? And then this room up here, no idea what it was. Was it another little kitchen? Was it a bathroom? I couldn't figure it out. And then the final room of the house, this end bedroom, I guess you'd have it as, where all the bricks exposed there. The ceiling has all come down. Maybe the leak came through the roof and went all the way down to the ground floor. And those windows there, which don't actually have any glass in them, so they're not doing a great job of being a window. But I followed this place to auction and someone paid for it £140,000. Now, this is just a quick advertisement for level 8 cases.
On your soul, in the creases, like an old bubble gum. If the road stays beneath us in a while, away I'll run on a horse, so I made a Sawyer to a hearse made of me, a rapper song, and a mommy, and me and mine, a magic beast. I've arrived
Right, I'm going to throw some numbers at you quickly about house prices and rent. So, the average house price from June 2024 in Leeds was £235,000. Now, the average rent was £1,107. So, the average price for a detached house in Leeds, £428,000. A semi-detached house was £253,000. Terraced house price was £195,000, and flats/maisonettes were £165,000. So this footage currently is from my previous visit to Leeds, where I was looking at the death of the high street, a problem that is not unique to Leeds. However, recently I started getting comments on that video saying, majority of these shops are no longer vacant, cheap reactive content, or this one. This video is so inaccurate, it's funny. Every shop you saw boarded up was either becoming something else or is getting refurbished. Now, I hope that is true. I really want our high streets to succeed, so let's go find out. Has Leeds managed to turn around these empty retail units that I saw? There we go, first one. That was in my previous video, and that's still to let. So let's keep walking. A new one there that's empty. Oh, I remember there was a big bank up here that was empty. I wonder what's happened to this. Yeah, so the giant bank on the end here. Another one there, that was empty in the last video. Still empty. As always, it's not saying that the city is entirely dead. It's not saying there's nowhere to shop in Leeds. It's just documenting the empty retail space, like I've done in all places. There was a row down here as well. I wonder if these have been filled, because I remember these were all empty. Come on, come on, come on, be filled, be filled, be filled. And they're empty. To be fair, that one there, Unique Grow Hair Beauty Salon, that's new. So these shops that are surrounding the core shopping centre, they were closed last time and they still are now, and this is because apparently this place is going to be knocked down and turned into student accommodation. So you can read all about this online, about the demolition, about what's coming, and it does say here, it says this place had struggled to attract retailers in recent years, so in documenting the death of the high street, I still feel it's a valuable place for me to have visited. And if you really want to confirm people that it's changing, take down the to let signs. But fair, that's what we want to repurpose these spaces, so if that does happen, if this does get turned into student accommodation as planned, if all this stuff on the outside, if that's the reason it's closed, and that does happen, brilliant, repurposing the high street. That's the way you've got to look forward. That's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Anyway, let's get back to the cheap houses. Now, this one was on for £45,000. This is the view from outside the house. You can see there that there seems to be some patchwork done on the roof, so I'm assuming there is going to be a leak in here somewhere, and things might be quite wet. Now, looking at the garden outside, this is just full of stuff. Looks like someone's just chucked a load of rubbish in here. Then this is the kitchen inside the house. Now, I'm not sure that I'd actually want to cook anything in this room. And there's a big hole in the ceiling there. As you can see, a different shade of mould on these walls, a bit more of a brown tinge to it. As you explore more and more cheap houses, you become more familiar with the different shades of mould. So this house looks like it's been left with everything still in it from the previous occupier. Now, I've viewed a few houses that are like this, where all the stuff's still there. If you ended up buying this at auction, you'd have to take all of this with you. They wouldn't clear it for you. So the walls aren't great here, but to be honest, if the house is just full of stuff, this might actually be a bargain. So let's get upstairs and see if the rest of the house maybe is just full of junk. But I was proved wrong when I found the bathroom, and I remembered there'd been a leak in this place, and this is the evidence of that. The whole room was covered in stuff that had just come down from the ceiling, from that leak that had just run through and left half the insulation just hanging down into the bathroom. It was a really, really unpleasant sight, that. More mould on the wall, not a good bathroom, let's say that. Then through to the bedroom, and again, just evidence of how bad that leak has been and the water damage that has affected all of the walls in here. It wasn't even damp, this. It was just soaking wet. Everything. The clothes all on the bed you could see were wet. The carpet was absolutely drenched. And the source of that upstairs in the attic room, where you can see some work has been done, but not very well. Water will just come falling through there. This house does come with season 2 of Midsummer Murders, though. So the carpet may be sodden and the walls may be drenched, but you have got some fantastic DVDs to watch. Just a quick message before we get back to the streets of Leeds. So I have a Patreon page, and I just want to say thank you to anyone who's ever signed up to it, either currently or in the past. Now, I'm going to be closing it down because I just don't need that financial support anymore. As you saw earlier in this video, I had a sponsored ad. And if I just have sponsored ads occasionally in some of my videos, it gives me some financial stability to be able to call YouTube my career. And I'll just ride this out as long as I can. Ride the wave of YouTube. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much to anyone who has ever been part of that page. If you go back to my earlier videos, the quality was terrible. Camera quality, editing, everything. And it really was from the support that you gave me that I was able to upgrade my gear, buy better stuff, and then eventually make videos that attract sponsors, which can then financially support me. So yeah, I don't need your support now, but forever grateful for it. So thank you. In this arcade that I walked down again, yeah, empty on that side, empty there, another one there. There are shops in it, but so far it doesn't seem that any of the stores that I saw last time have been repurposed with new things in. So to be fair here, I'm pretty sure that was a Clinton Cards, which has gone. I'm actually wrong here. There was an empty Clinton Cards the last time I visited, but it was not where that Pret is. It was here, and this has been taken over by a Holland & Barrett, which is really good to see. In fairness, the market does feel busier than last time I came, which is good. To be fair to the market, much busier, so much more open. In a way, that's a society that we've kind of got to revert to, regardless if you want it to or not. When rents are so high in the brick and mortar stores, they have to close down because rates, insurance, rent, everything adds up. Places like the market probably will thrive again, where it's cheaper to run a stall. I know a guy actually had a market stall in my town, went, oh, I'm going to get a shop, opened a shop for about a year and went, it's far better on the market. Anyway, let's get back to another cheap house to look at. Let's do that. So here is the last house that we're viewing, and it's actually the cheapest, so I'm very intrigued to see what it'll be like. The pictures on this place actually look alright, so let's have a look from the outside. Doesn't look too bad apart from very small, but let's get inside and have a look round. So yeah, very pleasantly surprised. I was expecting this place to be way worse, but compared to the previous two houses that were incredibly hard to breathe in, this place was refreshing to walk around. It was just very small, old-fashioned, but it wasn't damaged. There wasn't mould all over the walls. It just felt a bit run down. But yeah, as I said, compared to the other two houses, this place felt great. The bathroom felt like it wasn't caving in on itself. You could actually see the toilet. I was beginning to think maybe we're onto a winner here. We have found a cheap house that is in good nick. And then things started to go wrong. But they couldn't go too wrong because this is the final room. This house is tiny, so there's not much space at all. And yeah, there's a fair bit of mould on there. A different shade this time as well. It's got that kind of grey-black mould. So that's 3 different moulds we've seen today. But yeah, a tiny little house, a bit of mould, but definitely the best we've seen all day today. What do you think? Another arcade here. There's loads of these in Leeds. I remember there was a fair few in this, the Queen's Arcade. So it's looking good so far, to be fair. That is good. Just the one actually in here. Oh no, 2. Sorry, 3. Another one here that was definitely empty in the previous video. That one there as well, I think closed since the last video. And down here, where I got the thumbnail for the last video, there was a strip of 3 shops all boarded up. Let's see. Have they been filled like I got told? And they haven't. I feel like I've always been fair with my videos and my approach to content making, especially when it's around subject matters like the death of the high street, where you can arrive in places and at times misrepresent. Nottingham, I came back and had another look. But if you're going to tell me that every single shop in Leeds that I showed has been repurposed and filled, and not expect me to come and have a look myself and find out that in fact a couple may have, but then in that happening more have become vacant. Come on, like, it's not a knock at Leeds. It's got some terrible houses, that's for sure, probably got some nice ones as well, but empty retail is just everywhere. It's just a thing that's happening in the 21st century, I'm afraid. Right, there we go. An interesting day in Leeds, back in Leeds, should I say, looking at cheap houses and revisiting the high street. Now, cheap houses are great. I honestly love going to look at them. I always will do. You never know what you're going to find. It's so much fun just looking at the opposite to the fancy houses that everyone else shows you. I'll show you the cheap ones. And also the high street. I was genuinely interested from people commenting saying, you need to come back and have a look because all those places that you've shown have been repurposed. Now, I would have loved that to be true. I kind of knew it wasn't going to be true just because I've seen so many high streets and nowhere has that success story. And the really sad thing is you can go on Google Street View and look at a lot of these empty properties, these retail units in cities, and just see that they've been empty now for like nearly 20 years. Like, how have we got to the state where we're just leaving retail units empty for 20 years? So maybe some people get pissed off at me for coming and documenting empty retail in cities, but get pissed off at your councils, get pissed off at people who are unwilling to rechange these retail units, repurpose them, do something with them. If the core does happen, fantastic. But as I said, there's other places, just shops that are just left empty. We've got so much space and we just don't use it. It's mad. So one more thing, the ad that I put in the video had some music with it. Now, music in YouTube's hard because of copyright. So I asked my very kind friend and unbelievably talented musician, Lewis Oliver, if I could borrow one of his songs, and he let me use it for free. And I think it worked so well with that ad. So I'm going to link it below. Please do go check it out. It's called Apple Tree by Lewis Oliver. Mate, thank you so much for letting me use that. Right, anyway, I'll see you next time. No idea what we'll be wandering and looking at, but yeah, do come along. Bye-bye.